send the recording of this phone call out for you to re-watch or to watch if for anybody that was scheduled to be on the call and wasn't able to be here. So the recording will go out to you for your review later. So Jessica, thank you so much for joining us. We're thrilled to hear about what you can tell us about USDA rural development financing.
Sounds great. Thanks, Nancy. Really want to thank you for inviting us to present on our programs today and to share a little bit about rural development. I do also have in the room with me, although you can't see him, he's on the other side of the table, Sean Hastings. He is our Community Programs Director. So he'll jump in from time to time if I misspeak on any of our community programs, and he'll be here for questions as well. So I also just want to say we really value extension and the work that you guys do in the rural communities out there in Kansas. And we really value you as a partner. And so if there's any time you have any questions, just feel free to give us a call. We do try and do our best to work in those rural communities. And I know I was listening to all the communities you guys are from, Clay Center, Cherokee County, Smith Center. We're working in a lot of those communities, and I am sure you are well aware of the projects we're working on. So we really value your partnership and your ability to help us outreach to those rural communities. And so a little overview about rural development. Again, we are committed to helping improve the economy and the quality of life in rural America. And so we have 40 loan and grant programs to assist rural communities, whether it's through business programs, community programs, housing, or utilities. And so it's a wide range of different projects we can assist with, whether it's water and wastewater infrastructure, hospitals, housing, health clinics, educational facilities, farmers markets, a lot of the things that Extension is involved in, we are also able to provide some financing for. In 2016, we invested $315 million in rural Kansas. We're currently working on our 2017 numbers, but as you can see, we kind of, in all the programs are split out pretty equally in funding. It used to be a large amount of it went to single family housing, but since Sean's come here, our community facilities and our water programs have really expanded. And so we're really doing a lot more financing community facilities out there. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. And so our first program area that I am going to talk about is our business and cooperative programs. We support the creation and expansion of businesses and cooperatives in rural areas. Usually this program is designed for populations that are 50,000 and less. And so with all of our programs, we have different population limits, whether it's business, community, or utilities. So that is one thing to keep in mind. Again, we are focused on rural, so we're not going to be helping Overland Park or Wichita or those areas, specifically the rural areas. And so we really, in our business program, try to leverage any financial resources. We like to work with Network Kansas, local banks. We really just try to be one tool in the toolbox when it comes to financing and assisting local businesses. And so Nancy had initially asked me to really talk about our grant programs. And so in our business programs, the two grant areas we are currently taking applications on are our value-added producer grants, which really help ag producers to develop and market any value-added product or a local food. And our other one is our Rural Energy for America program, and that provides loan guarantees and grants really to help small businesses and ag producers really make energy efficient and renewable energy to construct it or to obviously make their businesses more energy efficient. So I'm going to go a little more into detail on these two specific programs. Although we do have several other financing options available through our business program with our business and industry guaranteed loan program, as well as our rural economic development loan and grant program. So We do have loans available on our business site too, but since these two have deadlines coming up in their grants, I figured I would focus on them. So the first program, our value-added producer grant program, this year there's 18 million available nationwide. And again, this is where ag producers can take that raw agricultural product like wheat and turn it into flour, or if they have a local specialty crop, or such as pumpkins, or trying to think of a squash or something that they would really like to expand their market for, they can do that as well. And the working capital grants are up to $250,000, and in grants are $75,000. This year we've had a little longer deadline for the value-added producer grant. Usually it's a 60 to 90-day turnaround. Luckily this year we have clear until the end of January, so until January 31st. For the paper applications, and those come to our state office, or if you choose to do it through grants.gov, it's January 24th. And so the eligible applicants for the value-added producer grants are independent producers, ag producer groups, any type of farm or ranch cooperative, or a majority controlled producer-based business venture. I cannot go into a lot of detail on those different types of applicants. What I can tell you is you need to contact our office as soon as possible if you're interested in applying to see if you are eligible for the program. But if you're an independent producer, which I would say probably 90% of our applicants are, then you shouldn't have any problem being eligible for the program. So some eligible uses of those grant funds. Processing cost of that, turning that raw ag commodity into a value-added product, any marketing and advertising expenses, some inventory and salary. Ineligible use of grant funds would be obviously to construct a building or equipment costs. We can't fund those types of things. So last year, we awarded, I think it's 9 total value-added producer grants here in the state of Kansas. And again, these all compete nationally. You work with us on your application, but we send it, all of the applications nationally. We don't get a state allocation for this program. So last year, we did receive $835,000 for all of the projects. As you can see, we helped to fund a feed mill, some wineries, some cheese making facilities, a creamery, I guess, beef, some meat-based soups with some chicken, pork, and beef, and again, some more wine. So as you can see, we kind of have the food palette there with the beef, wine, and cheese. So anyway, we have become very competitive in this program nationally. We have 2 staff members, Nancy Pletcher and Travis Snyder, are our 2 individuals in the state that assist applicants with this grant application. You do not have to have a grant writer to apply for this grant. Our staff can assist you. You can pay someone if you want to, but we do have staff available to be able to provide you with assistance. One of our success stories would be Hildebrand Dairy out of Junction City. I think they were awarded 2 years ago, maybe it was just last year. Time gets away from me. But one of my favorites, my kids love their strawberry and root beer milk. They have a new product line with their mocha milk. Haven't tried that one yet, but I can definitely vouch for the strawberry and root beer that it's amazing. So they were looking to expand their market and take their product out to Western Kansas, as well as doing some marketing of their trucks. They wanted to put the Hildebrand Dairy logos on some of their trucks that were transporting their milk. And they also wanted to buy some glass bottles. So that's what they use their value-added producer grant funds for. All right, on to our next business program grant would be our Rural Energy for America program. With this, again, we provide a guaranteed loan or a grant to make those rural energy system upgrades or to make energy efficiencies. So our eligible applicants in this grant program are ag producers and rural small businesses. Last year, we funded 31 projects that totaled more than $500,000. The REAP grants as we like to refer to them as, you're eligible for a 25% grant of the total eligible cost for the project. And with the loan guarantees, it's up to 75% of the total eligible project. And the minimum amount that you can apply for a grant for on the renewable energy side is $2,500, while on the energy side, it's $1,500. And this year, our REAP grants, the first initial soft deadline is October 31st. The second deadline will be in the spring sometime, probably about March.
Jessica?
Yes.
There's a question from John Forshee. Would a maker space or fabrication lab qualify for the REAP grant?
It would depend on what they were doing. If they were looking at what they were looking at doing, I guess. If they're looking at improving their lighting or putting in a new HVAC system, then potentially it would kind of determine who the applicant was as well. Because again, it has to be a small business, which I'm not sure with a maker space. It would, again, determine who the applicant really is.
So it's a question that's worth, if lighting or HVAC was of interest to them, they should call you and explore it further.
I would say so, yes.
Thanks, Jessica.
Yeah, thanks, John. So yeah, I would say probably with our REAP program, one of our most utilized one, it would be lighting upgrades, especially in hardware stores, or I'll give you some examples of grocery stores. As David Proctor could tell you, those freezers and coolers, the old 20-plus-year-old refrigeration units, very inefficient, and upgrading to new coolers can really help save the bottom line in those fixed cost in grocery stores. So yeah, we see a lot of lighting projects, heating, cooling, HVAC, a few installations. On the renewable energy side, I would say a couple of years ago, we saw a lot of wind projects. We don't really see a lot of wind anymore. We've seen an uptick in solar the past couple of years, and that seems to be becoming more affordable. And a few geothermal. Those are about the type of projects we see here in Kansas. And we do see a few irrigation projects as well. One of our success stories would be Havercamp Grocery Store in Centralia. The grocery store had freezer and cooler cases that were more than 20 years old. And through the REAP program, the grocery store received funding to help install the new freezers and cooler cases that you see there in the photo. And the owner had told us that it had helped save the store at least $600 a month. And with that savings, he was able to make some other improvements to the store with, I think, new flooring. I can't remember if he did some new lighting or not. So definitely, if a small business in a rural area is looking, to get new lighting or new refrigeration, I tell them to apply. Again, our specialist will walk you through this process. You don't need a grant writer. Trying to think of a few of the other things with the REAP program. Let me see, before I head to community facilities. Again, our first application is October 31st, and that's really targeted at applications under 20,000. And so those are some of our smaller projects, such as the grocery stores. So recommend, if you're interested, to contact us as soon as possible. All right, our next program area would be our community facilities program. And again, this program is really geared toward enhancing or improving those essential community services and or facilities. The population for this specific program is 20,000, and we do offer direct loans, loan guarantees, and grants. And again, they're really for those vital community infrastructure programs. Healthcare is one that we have seen an uptick in the last 5 years. We've funded a lot of ambulances, hospitals, clinics, dental clinics, a lot of healthcare equipment as well. We have some priorities of, mental health, public safety, and any type of partnering project we like to do as well. And we have a high emphasis in poverty areas as well. So the eligible applicants, we have public bodies, county, city, special purpose district, not-for-profit organizations, and any federally recognized Indian tribes. So I don't know if this is the most up-to-date graph we have. It's probably not. We've probably funded quite a bit since then. But in the last 4 years, in our community facilities program, we have funded about $90 million in direct loans and about $1 million in our community facilities grant. And again, we take applications year-round. No grant writer needed. Our specialists work with the communities, and there's no application fee either. So one thing I would say about our grant program is that we look for smaller projects that fund equipment. As you can tell, we don't get a huge amount of grant each year in that program. It's usually $200 and some $1,000. And so that's usually what we're looking for in grants. And this is one of our projects we just finished up a couple months ago, actually, and had an open house last month. As some of you had heard, I'm sure, Independence lost their hospital a couple years ago, Mercy Hospital down in Independence. The neighboring county, Labette, had seen an uptick in patients coming their way. They saw a need in the community, and so they came to us and said, how can you guys help us help the community? So they had a lot of community meetings and decided that, they didn't need a full-fledged hospital. What one of their priorities was obviously offering that emergency services to the community, having some physicians there doing the lab services and outpatient type stuff. And so they have really seen a good reception from the community in having this facility there. And so I look forward to seeing after they've been open for a year how it's going. But so far, very nice facility, and seems to be working quite well for that city of 9,000 individuals that had lost their hospital. So nice facility. Here's just some other photos of projects that we've done. We're working on with Benedictine, with some of the cuts to higher education. We've seen an uptick there as well. We're helping Benedictine construct a new science and engineering hall, and doing some dorms with some other colleges throughout the state. Up in the right-hand corner, that's the Onega Hospital. We help finance that. Some smaller grants. We've helped libraries with new shelving or lighting or just different needs that they have. I know somebody was from Clay Center. We helped the Concordia and Clifton Clyde libraries get new computers for their schools and new furniture and technology equipment for their libraries as well. And another priority for us right now is obviously some daycare facilities in rural areas. That's a really can be a big issue. So that's something we look at as well as, of course, the public safety with the fire departments, ambulances, all of those types of things.
So Jessica, that slide kind of blows my mind in terms of the opportunities for our local communities. And I will tell you that I was just in Onega doing first impressions, and they're announcing this week or last week that they were named one of the top 20 hospitals in the nation or something like that. So that's a great partnership you made there.
Absolutely. Yes. No, I mean, the community support for that hospital is what makes it successful, in my opinion. The community really stands behind that hospital, and yeah, great partners, great facility. Absolutely. That's great to hear that they've received that recognition. So
yeah.
And so just a few more quick slides. I'm almost done. I only have 4 more. So our water and wastewater system, As a lot of you know, in our rural communities, our rural infrastructure is not always in the best of conditions. So we really try and partner with a lot of cities and rural water districts throughout the state to help provide them with low interest loans, and in some areas grants in those high poverty areas where the repayment of those loans is not affordable, and making them more affordable for the residents. And so borrowers for this program are public bodies and nonprofit organizations. And so this was one of our Earth Day projects we did last year out west in the city of Bogue. The city of Bogue had outdated infrastructure, really needed some I can't remember, Sean could probably talk, I know we could talk about this one better, but I think they needed to connect to Hill City for some better infrastructure. Absolutely. And so the mayor, which happens to work at the Hill City Elementary School, she is the individual there in the middle, and 4 of the students up front were from the city of Bogue. So just kind of neat to see, obviously, the future and, you know, working together, Hill City and the city of Bogue, to ensure that their water infrastructure is affordable for residents, but also safe for their future generations. And then our housing programs, safe and affordable housing is also a big priority for our agency. We have single family housing, we have guaranteed loans for single family, we have direct loans through our agency, and our housing program is geared towards communities 35,000 or less. We do offer some multifamily housing assistance as well. But again, I would say probably our guaranteed single family housing and direct are where we see most of our housing assistance. And we really want folks to think of us as not only a funding source, but as a partner in creating opportunities for rural communities. We might not always be able to fund or finance a project completely, but we have a lot of partners, and we like to be as creative as possible and use all those tools we have to be able to assist those rural communities. And so just think of us, if there's a project out there, we sure would like to try and assist in any way we could. We are a small agency. We have 50 full-time employees. Sean and I are located here in the state office in Topeka, and then we have 3 area offices, one in Hayes, one in Iola, and one in Newton. We used to have a larger staff kind of spread out throughout the state, but with budgets and whatnot, we've been cut down. So I know a lot of you are familiar with FSA and NRCS, and probably maybe not as familiar with us, and that's why we just don't have quite the staff numbers that they do, but we like to also work with them and on our outreach and whatnot as well. And then lastly, here's our website information. Our contact information is available on our website, and we are also on Twitter as well.
Fantastic. That's a lot of great information. And Jessica, I'll look forward to receiving these slides so I can send them out to all the participants and those who might have missed it today. But I'd be going to open the floor for questions. We have as much time as you would like to make for questions. And so I'll open the floor and let you ask whatever you want to. You'll need to unmute your microphones or put it in the chat box and I'll ask the question for you. Ron had earlier asked a question early in your presentation about you were interested in increasing quality jobs, and Ron was asking how the USDA defines quality jobs.
That's a good question. I'm not so sure that we're enhancing quality jobs, but of course we're always wanting to make sure those rural communities have high-paying jobs in them. And so for our business programs, whether all of our business programs, we track how many jobs are created and obviously their salaries and those types of things. So I wouldn't say that's a strong focus, but obviously the jobs portion and making sure that there are jobs available for rural individuals is a priority for us. You know, funding one project that only assists one individual as one business that's only helping one individual, as to where, you know, there could be a larger, I shouldn't say a larger, but a larger small business that might be assisting 20 individuals with getting a job. National office always asks us to track, and when you're scoring, one of the requirements is amount of jobs created or saved. And so that's probably more what that slide was about than anything.
Okay.
What do you consider a special district?
Could be a hospital district, could be a sewer district, water district. Anything defined as probably, they sometimes have taxable authority to those.
Okay. Well, I was curious if you know, if a portion of Salina is considered, you know, such as we have a group that's working in North Salina to help that area, whether that could be considered a special district, but they don't have their own taxing authority or anything like that, so maybe not.
Yeah, we'd have to look at how they were formed and organized. We could do some exploration on that.
Okay.
Well, there's a lot to think about in there.
So if here's another one. If a farmer's got a shop that he's employing, basically runs another small company out of there, would there be funds maybe available for them to upgrade lighting or something like that into a shop that I think he's got 4 or 5 employees. They're building, you know, special racks and stuff for one of the companies here in Salina. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I think we have done something similar for an ag producer that had a business out of his facility. But with that rate program, you have to remember, so if the shop wasn't insulated or anything like that already, it wouldn't, well, I shouldn't say that. So it really depends, but yes, it has been done before. But just when we're doing energy efficient, just remember, we've had people contact us, you know, if they didn't have an HVAC system before, if they could go put in a new one in a facility. And the question is, no, we're looking to actually make Kansas more energy efficient. So it would be replacing somebody's HVAC system.
Okay.
Okay, well, if there are no other questions, why, we will thank Jessica so much for her presentation. If you joined us late in November, the first Friday of November, our topic is going to be growing Kansas agritourism. And when I look at the agritourism possibilities, I'm just overwhelmed and astonished at everything that's possible there. Sue Stringer will be our presenter, and she's with the Kansas Agritourism and Kansas Byways Manager with the Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism. And our calls are normally just for K-State Research and Extension agents, but if those of you from the community heard something today that you would like to be included again next time, just send me an email. You've got my email at nkdaniels@ksu.edu. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully later today, I'll send out the recording of the presentation for anybody that wants to re-listen to it, and a copy of the slides. Thanks, and have a great Kansas Day.
Thanks, Jessica. It was good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too, John.
Wanted to let you know our RC&D is still alive and well and operating.
You're still doing good. Oh, I think I've seen some updates.
Yep. Very good. So thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks, Nancy.